Good afternoon. Welcome to the afternoon experiment. My name is Emanuel Livingston. I'm with you. We'll see. I got somewhere to be, like at 5:30. It's just, it don't stop. It don't stop. Just keep having to be places and meet people and, handle stuff. It's all good. Like, I enjoy it all, but it's just a lot of work. Like, I told you, where we going?
Church.
That's right. Got to go to the church.
I was about to say Kings Island.
We are not going to Kings Island.
We were going to Kings Island in a long time, kind of.
It has been a long time. So, I am here finally this week. Let's get to it. We got to say hello to everybody. Anthony Prosser, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Anthony's first out the gate. Erica Hummins representing Reading. Good afternoon, Erica. Nick Brown representing beautiful Blue Ash. Good afternoon, Nick. Got Miss Pittsburgh in the house. She says, good afternoon, everyone. Here we go. Here we go. Yes, Miss Pittsburgh, thank you for checking out the show. I appreciate you. And rounding out the top five, Jacqueline Carter representing E-Town. I'm assuming that's Evanston. I got to put the phone on silent. Good afternoon, and thank you for checking out the show. Dwayne Larkin representing Mount Airy. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Got Shahira Shine. Good afternoon. Lamont Jones. Good afternoon, Lamont, representing Westwood. Good afternoon. Terry Anderson representing Downtown. Good afternoon. Got Lewis Talbert in the house. Good afternoon, Lewis Talbert. Miss Pittsburgh in the house representing, I already said Miss Pittsburgh. This time she says she's representing Pittsburgh. Jerica Vaughn in the house. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Andrea Bustle representing Gulf Manor. Good afternoon. Jason Dockery out there in Fairfield. Good afternoon, Jason. Good afternoon. Let me see. Thank you, Jerica. Says we've missed you terribly, and adulting is worrisome. It keeps me busy. It keeps me busy. David Herring. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you for checking out the show. We got Tria Gaines in the house. Classy as always. Good afternoon. She's representing Avondale. And David says he's representing Butler County. April Chanel, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you for checking out the show. Let's see. Pamela Kinney, representing North Avondale. Good afternoon, Pamela. Let me see. T. Mikey G, representing Covington, Kentucky. Good afternoon. Brenda Early, representing Fairfield. Good afternoon. And that looks like it. That's all the hellos. See how quick they go. See how quick they go. The later I come on, the faster I get through the hellos. James Benta says, welcome back from the break. Thank you. Thank you. Sierra Brooks, good afternoon. Representing the hair salon. Okay. CK, good afternoon. Okay. Lonzo Clark, good afternoon. Samuel Campbell Jr. representing East Walnut Hills. Good afternoon. Now, y'all know it's a lot of stuff going on. Not really. I mean, it is, but I want to talk about it, but I can't really talk about it the way that I want to talk about it because the little baby is over here. Yeah, the little baby's over here. So we can't really talk about that P. Diddy trial the way I want to talk about that P. Diddy trial. But I did hear somebody use the term freak shaming. Freak shaming. I think I was watching TMZ. I think it was TMZ. And they were talking about when The Punisher was on the stand. Yes, one of the participants was referred to as the Punisher, and they brought the Punisher on the stand, and the Punisher testified about stuff. And they were like, what's the purpose of this? At this point, we're just freak shaming. And I'm like, but the stuff he was doing, this is not just about him being a freak. This is about him potentially committing crimes. I'm like, okay, but we already get it. The Punisher was there and he did this and he did that. But still, they gotta testify as to what happened. You gotta lay the case out. You gotta lay the whole case out. But yeah, it's some crazy stuff going on. What are they using the rubber duckies for? What? What are they using the rubber duckies for? Apparently when they raided his house, he had a stash of stuff. And amongst his stuff, he had rubber duckies, like his freak off stuff. In the freak off stuff, he had rubber ducks. Like, what they use for, to put in the bathtub with little kids. What are they doing with the rubber duckies? Oh my goodness. It is all crazy. I don't know what's going on. And I want to talk about it, but I can't talk about it. Like, I want to just be blunt and talk about it, but I can't just be blunt and talk about it. But I'm really concerned about what they do with the rubber duckies. You got the wrong Pop-Tarts. Those are mine, not yours. They're the good ones. They are the good ones. But I can't talk about it. But I want to talk about it so bad. Oh, I want to talk about it so bad.
Talk about what? The rubber duckies?
Yes, the rubber duckies. Hold on. But there is another thing that I wanted to discuss. Hold on. Where is... No, not that. Oh. Shoot, I should have... No. Maryland's first black governor blocks reparations bill. Maryland's first black governor blocks reparations bill. Did y'all see that? I think, Daryl, and again, we can't really talk about it. He says, forget the Diddy trial. Let's talk about something that's affecting everyday Americans, like that orange, like the president, where he's cutting Medicare and SNAP. I disagree that that trial is not affecting everyday Americans. It's one of those things where if things don't get talked about, they kind of get buried. And when you bury stuff, like when you hear us have these conversations about it, and then you hear these people who call in or send messages saying she wanted it and, she ain't no victim and all of that kind of stuff. Not a whole lot of opportunities arise to have conversations. And I know people don't think it's the case, but it's been my experience just listening to a lot of the feedback surrounding this trial that there are still people who always blame the victim. be it, Bill Cosby, R. Kelly, Smokey Robinson, Sean Combs. And if they're blaming the victim in those cases, they're blaming victims in other cases because they don't understand being a victim of an abuser. And so I really do believe it's a very important conversation to have. I think you have to have delicate, because I think it's an important conversation. I'm pointing this way because of the little baby over there. It's an important conversation to have even with young children. Of course, you have to be more delicate when you're having the conversation with young children. But I think it is a very important conversation. So I get the idea. See, one of the things that happens in talk radio a lot. One of the things, when I will, Daryl, I know what I'm doing here. One of the things that happens in talk radio a lot is that you use these high profile cases to have conversations about things that normal people are dealing with. And so I see it. Oh, okay, what difference? I don't care what Diddy is doing. That don't affect me. So why are we talking about Diddy? And I be trying to explain, most of the times we're not talking about Diddy. We're not talking about Cosby. We're not talking about these individual cases. We're talking about whatever the overarching point is of the issue, be it consent, or, like I said, who is and who is not a victim, and trying to understand and learn the mindset of a victim and all of that kind of stuff. And the idea that why talk about these things if we won't change people's minds? Then why talk about anything? Why talk about anything? See, I disagree that you don't change people's minds. You don't change people's minds if you never have discussions about things with people who have different viewpoints. But I don't know if some of these people, let me just tell you, through years of conversation, my mind has been changed on a number of different topics. That, if I just didn't discuss things with people, my mind would have never been changed. I think change for the better. Somebody might disagree. So that's why you have to have these conversations. Now, again, we're not going to be discussing that any further today. But I think it's important to have those conversations. Thank you, Brenda. With regard to the Maryland's first black governor blocks reparations bill. Now, this was a bill to study whether or not, or the effects of, a study on the effects of reparations and, whether or not this thing would happen. Governor Westmore vetoed a commission to study and recommend different types of reparations that could include money, tax rebates, tuition waivers for Marylanders. He's the governor of Maryland. In an accompanying, if I can get it out, letter to Senate Bill 587, Moore said he feels that now is not the time for another study. And instead, it's the time for continued action that delivers results. I don't understand. Look, people may or may not like why does it seem like a lot of times when there are black people in a position to do things that may help some black people, they're hesitant? And he's talking about, there's been studies before and nothing happened, and he's going to just do the work that he's doing to uplift black people. He's working to uplift the black community by supporting black businesses, historically black colleges and universities, to make up for previous policies that discriminated against black people. It's so frustrating to hear these types of things. Let me ask this. What would the study have hurt? What would the study have hurt? Do we realize that there's studies going on about like everything, like nonsense? There was a study about, and this is a for real commission study. People got paid the whole nine. They did a whole study on whether or not you get wetter if you walk in the rain or if you run in the rain. All over the world, and definitely all over the country, people are studying just nonsense. People study nonsense. Even if you say nothing's going to come out of it, what does it hurt? But again, to me, this is not necessarily an issue of this particular governor's view on a study about reparations. I feel like this is a conversation more about when we elect people, he's a Democrat too, by the way. When we elect people who are supposed to be there to work in our best interests, why is it, I'm focusing on black people. Why is it hard for black people to stand up and say, or be that positive voice for black people and to champion all things black? It happens all the time. Well, I didn't just get elected by black people. I got to do what's best for everybody, and that's true. Maybe this is why. Well, first, it's because I won't run. But one of the reasons that I would never run for office is because if I got in office, people would hate me. And I might get taken out because I'm going to be the one elected official. I'm definitely going to be one term, whatever it is. But I'm going to be the elected official to say, hey, look, I want what's good for everybody, but I think what's good for black people is what's good for everybody. So one of the first things that I'm looking at when I look at a policy, a bill, appropriation, anything is, how does this help black people? That's going to be my first question out the gate. Does this help black people? If so, how? And I know people would not, number one, people wouldn't like me saying that out loud, say in a press conference. And I'm certain I wouldn't get reelected. So I don't know. It bothers me. It bothers me. Daryl says, how many studies on reparations do we have to have? I mean, damn, give us our damn money or not. I agree with you. I agree with you, but man, if they want to do a study, do a study. Do a study. Fund the study. Give some black people some money to study reparations. Maybe that's part of the reparations, as far as I'm concerned. If y'all come to me and say, I want to study reparations, bet, let's study reparations. Here's some money. Black people, go study it. But again, that's just me. That's just me. Hold on, somebody brought up something else. Y'all know I don't have very long. Alonzo say, sound like another black politician trying not to upset white folks. There's a part of me to believe that, but there's also a part of me that believes he, and I don't have it right up in front of me, but he also mentioned all of the things that he feels like that he's working on that'll be helpful for black people. And basically, that's where we need to focus our energy. When people say stuff like that, it bothers me, as if our energy can only be focused in one place. We as people can multitask. Like how we can, in 1 minute, we can talk about Diddy, and then the next minute, we can talk about black politicians. And then Edward Bentley want to know, what about the coroner's report? And what about the coroner's report? What about it? I heard, hold on, before I go there, let me finish this. So the fact that we can focus our energy in different places at the same time, don't discount that, because it's definitely something that we can do. And it's bothersome when I hear people pretend that it's not. Twin says, reparations not gonna happen. Good luck. Governor Newsom had a chance to flip those pancakes. You could just talk like normal English. Flip the pancakes, whatever. But the idea that reparations is never gonna happen, I can't with 100% certainty say reparations is gonna happen one day. It's gonna happen. I can't do that. I can't do that. But I think what you do when you say that, and I've heard other people say it, happen. When you say stuff like that, it's almost like you trying to defeat the movement. These are the same people. You, Twin, are probably one of those people who said we would never have a black president. It would never happen. It would never happen. And then some people hedged it with, not in my lifetime. And then guess what? It happened. I can't almost guarantee nothing. There were people, I'm sure, back in the day who said we ain't never getting rid of slavery. Y'all keep trying to abolish slavery. It ain't ever gonna happen. Just give it up. Thank God they didn't just give it up. You keep fighting. You keep fighting. You keep fighting. And eventually, who knows? It might work out. There were people, I'm certain, who said we'll never get rid of Jim Crow. But then other people, they kept fighting and they kept fighting and they kept fighting. And eventually, so for all of you will never get reparations. We never gonna get reparations. All y'all defeatist people, I say shame on y'all. And even if we'll never get it, okay, let people still fight for it. I'm one who believes we're never gonna cure cancer. But do that mean that I want the people trying to cure cancer to just stop because it ain't never gonna happen? No, keep funneling them money, because I could be wrong. I know somebody that's different, Emanuel. Everything is different. But the idea of it ain't never gonna happen, so why keep fighting for it, or why keep trying to make it happen, just stop, is horrible to me. Edward Bentley says, what's next after Hinton death being ruled a homicide? Well, they almost always rule police shooting death as a homicide because that's what it is. It's a homicide. All a homicide means is that one person killed another person. Like if you kill a dog, that's not a homicide. If you get mauled to death, I mean, unless somebody actually uses the dog as a weapon to kill you, they won't say that was a homicide. All a homicide is one person killed another person. It wasn't a suicide. That would be you killing yourself. It wasn't an accident. Like, you know, maybe you fell off a bridge and whatever, and you died. So there was no other person involved. It was one person killing another person. Homicide doesn't mean murder. It doesn't mean you're wrong. If you break into my house and I catch you doing something horrible to a family member of mine and I kill you defending them, that's a homicide. Now, more than likely, the police will say, that's justifiable. He had every right to defend his home. But the coroner is still going to rule that a homicide. So don't read really anything into the coroner ruling it a homicide. Don't read anything into that. Homicide is one person killed another person. That's all that means. They looked at it and they said, a police officer shot this dude and he died. That police officer is a person. The dude that died is a person. It's a homicide. That's all that means. That's it. Now, I heard Michael Wright on the radio on 700. I think he was talking to Bill Cunningham. And I'm not sure that he believes the coroner's conclusion. And of course, they're getting, you know, they may have gotten an independent coroner's, an independent autopsy, if I can get the words out and say it right. But he was relatively aggressive in the sense that I believe he said something along the lines of, when we release our report, I don't want to overstate what he said, but something along the lines of, when we release our report, then you guys will all see that why we are not necessarily going with the Hamilton County Coroner's report. So I think that they are of the mindset that maybe something else went on. I will say, I've seen a lot of body cam footage. I mean, a lot of body cam footage. I'm sure we all have, but I've seen a whole lot of body cam footage. Like a whole lot of body cam footage. I have never in my life seen body cam footage that blurry. That it looked, to me, it looked intentionally overly blurry. You know, I do a little bit of editing, messing around with video, just a little bit. I'm no master editor, but I mess around with video and editing a little bit. And I mess with a lot of different programs. Well, not a lot, really just 3. DaVinci Resolve, Adobe Premiere, and Final Cut Pro. And when I tell you there are effects in there that you can use to do stuff, that video looked like it had gone through a program and someone had added a few effects to make it virtually impossible to see what happened. That video wasn't like, oh, because he was running and the video was shaky. No. Running does not, again, I've seen, I'm sure you have as well, I've seen a lot of body cam footage. I've seen cops running. I've seen body cams fall and get picked up, like, all over the place. I've seen all kind of stuff. From start to finish, that video looked blurred to me. Intentionally blurred. Yes, some would say, who was that said it? Yes, Timothy, some would say doctored. Because I've never seen video that blurry. And it wasn't just blurry, like somebody had even messed with the color on it. It just, it was not. And then she kept being, Chief Thigi kept saying, and she still keeps saying, they want to be transparent. And I submit they don't want to be transparent. They want to be the opposite of transparent. They want to be opaque. They want to be as opaque as they can be while still saying they're being transparent. If you want to be transparent, it'd be simple to just tell us who was the officer. Now I know the names have leaked and all of that kind of stuff, but why not just come out and say, one of our undercover officers, so-and-so. Well, you don't want to out an undercover officer, then don't say you want to be transparent. Transparent is, I'm giving you all the information. That's transparent. You see what I see. That's transparent. They don't want to be transparent. Otherwise, that, in my opinion, that video wouldn't look like that, number one. Number two, you could just tell us who the officer was. It just, I can't really remember it right now, but there were a few other things that I heard her say. And I'm like, stop saying you want to be transparent. And somebody, well, but they got this law. I can't remember what it is. I keep calling it Murphy's Law. I know it's not Murphy's Law. But they got this whatever where you don't have to release the names of officers. I can't remember the name of it. Okay, just because you don't have to doesn't mean that you can't. And if you want to be transparent, you would. Carolyn says, do you think they'll ever release the officer's name who did the shooting? Again, I think it'll come out, but I don't think they'll ever just outright release it. I don't think they will. I'm sure if there's a trial of some sort, he might have to testify. Marcy's Law. It's not Murphy's Law. I keep saying Murphy's Law. I don't know why. Thank you, Andrea. But again, Marcy's Law don't say you're not allowed to release the name. It says you don't have to release the name. You don't want to be transparent, because if you wanted to be transparent, you would release the name. So I know the law says I don't have to do this, but we want to be as transparent as possible. So John Doe is the officer who did the shooting. And I have heard that as well, Nat, that the officer whose name has been leaked, assuming that that is the officer, doesn't necessarily have a good record. What are you doing over there, little baby? Spinning.
Yes.
Can you spin a little quieter?
It's hard.
Well, work at it. Work at it. Work on the quiet part. Hopefully he's indicted. He will not be indicted. He will not be. I'm right now, I do not believe that he'll be indicted. Again, here's why I don't believe he'll be indicted, because they investigate themselves. They investigate themselves. I believe that if Rodney Hinton Jr. was investigated by the Hinton family, he probably would not have been indicted either. And I keep saying this, I will always say this. I don't believe that the police should be able to investigate the police. You wouldn't let Mr. Hinton's family lead the investigation. Because, there's a really good chance. Now, maybe, you know what I'm saying? Maybe, I heard his father talking, and his father might indict him, based on some of the stuff that I heard him saying. He sounds like a fair-minded guy. I wouldn't have said what he said. Even though I think I probably agree with what he said, I wouldn't have said it. What did he say, Emanuel? He was like, I saw 2 scared people in that video. Well, I don't know how you saw anything in that blurry video. But he's saying he saw, that officer was scared and his grandson was scared. I wouldn't have said that. I mean, whether it's true or not, whatever. I wouldn't have said it. So maybe he would have, said, hey, my son should face charges for what he did. And just like I'm sure there are some law enforcement officials who investigate law enforcement officials who feel like if a law enforcement official does something wrong, they'll step up and say, that was wrong, and that person needs to be held account for that. I think those people are few and far between. Just like if you let people's family members investigate them when they're accused of a crime. Like, for real, just imagine that. Imagine that. Mr. Hinton does what he's accused of doing. And he gets locked up. And then his family has to come out and, they're the ones who have to collect the evidence. And legitimately, they have to do the investigation. Someone who they hire is the coroner. Someone who they hire does DNA testing or, whatever the case may be. They have to go out and do the measurements and all of that kind of stuff. They're the ones who get to interview all of the witnesses and compile the case and then decide, are we gonna press charges against our son, brother, father, cousin? Or are we going to say, we think he was justified? No charges. Just imagine that. Nobody would be okay with that. Like, oh no, no charges. He's good. People would be in an uproar. How can you possibly say that? We investigated our brother and we came to the conclusion that he did nothing wrong. I do not like police investigating police. Wait, man, you got the Citizens Review Panel. I'm not against the Citizens Review Board Panel Association. I don't remember exactly what it is. I'm not against them. I do know this. I was told, because y'all know I want to be on the Citizens Review Board. I've made it known to people that I want to be on the Citizens Review Board. And it's been made known to me by some people. You ain't never getting on that Citizens Review Board. I remember Cecil Thomas once told me this, and I think he said it on the air, but I'm not 100% certain. I said I would love to be on the Citizens Review Board. I feel like I could look at things objectively, and if a cop is wrong, I would say that cop is wrong, and if a cop is right, I would say that cop is right, or, whatever the case may be. I said, I think I could do that, fair and partial. Cecil Thomas said to me, I don't remember his exact wording, but something along the lines of, he was a public official at that time, I would never allow that to happen because you lean anti-cop. Citizens Complaint Authority. Thank you, Vernon. I could not think of the name. The Citizens Complaint Authority. He said, I would never allow that to happen because you lean anti-cop. And I said, wait a minute. What if somebody leans pro-cop? I wouldn't have a problem with them being on the board. I said that. First, I don't lean anti-cop. And second, if you don't want somebody who's anti-cop on the board, you shouldn't want somebody who's pro-cop on the board. You should want people who can look at the case and the facts and review the evidence and say, this is what the evidence says, in my opinion. But it wasn't just Cecil Thomas. For real, shoot. Daryl says, damn, he actually said that. Yes, he did. He did. He actually said that. But it wasn't just him. It wasn't just him. And I'm trying to remember which, because you know what, the mayor has to appoint you or something like that. And one of the mayors, who I can't remember who it was. I don't remember which mayor it was. It might have been Lucan. It might have been Cranley. One of the mayors also told me, yeah, no, I would never even consider putting you. I've heard some of the things that you've said when you thought that cops were wrong. And what did you hear me say? You said that the cops were wrong. If I think they're wrong, how is it wrong to say that I think they're wrong? So you're not appointing anybody to the board who's ever thought that a cop was wrong? So now I did actually have a couple people who have something to do with the Citizens Complaint Authority. I've talked to a couple of people. I don't get the feeling though that I'm ever gonna be on the Citizens Complaint Authority. I don't get the feeling. And I'm not saying it in terms of me. I'm saying it in terms of what they seem to be looking for. They seem to be looking for people who won't say that law enforcement is wrong if they're wrong. Or at least who could say, I've never seen a bad cop. And I'm like, I'm not good at stuff like that. I'm not good at, like I've never been good at interviews. I've never been good at interviews. I'm one of them honest interview candidates or whatever who tell the truth, and people don't really want to hear the truth. People don't really want to hear the truth. Tell me, what are your weaknesses? I'm one of them who would be like, look, I'll be late. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I'll be late to work. Or sometimes I've been late to work, and I really work to be on time. Did you just say you'd be late? You asked for a weakness. I'm telling you what my weakness is. No, you're supposed to say like a strength, but like I care too much. You know what I'm saying? People still buy that stuff. People still buy that. Tell me what your weakness is. I care too much about the job, and I throw too much of myself into the job, and I'm too passionate. I ain't never been one of them dudes. I'm one of them. I be late sometimes, man. When I get there, I go hard. When I get there, I go hard. I'm creative. I'm a hard worker. You know what I'm saying? To some degree, I'm a perfectionist. I don't stop till the job is done, but I might be 2 minutes late. You know, I might be 2 minutes late. I know. I'm not one of them people who I can do that. I tend to take my work home with me. You know, I tend to, I overcommit. That's my weakness. I overcommit to the company and to the task and to the job. I'm not one of them people who ever I don't have it in me to. So yeah, I'm not. If the cop is wrong, the cop is wrong. And that keeps people like me off of review boards and stuff. But I don't think that police should be able to, like, here's the way I believe it should happen. Maybe. Because I'm just thinking of this just on the fly. So it's one of them ideas, and then, you come up with an idea, and then you look at the idea and you weigh the pros and cons, and then you kind of rework the idea, and you put some stuff in that wasn't in there, and you take some stuff out that was in there that after looking at it, it didn't make sense. This is the first draft. Sure, police are going to be there to gather evidence, but there should be at least one trained citizen on the scene. Like they should, and how you do it, but they should be on call. Like something bad happened. And when they, put out the call, we got a whatever on whatever. Somebody should pick up the phone like, yo, E, we got a situation down here. You got to come down here because we about to be doing this investigation. All right. And then I drive over there. And then while they picking up bullets and stuff and measuring stuff and putting them little markers and stuff, I'm just looking like, all right, just making sure ain't nobody putting no bullets in their pocket. You know what I'm saying? Don't put no shell casings or whatever in your pocket. Some blood there. That blood wasn't there before. Where did that blood come from? That blood was not there before. Y'all messing around on this investigation. Y'all trying to set it up. No, that's wrong. That blood wasn't there. You know what I'm saying? There should be some citizen there to oversee the initial investigation, gather all the evidence, trained, a person who's trained, and there should be, in terms of turn over the investigation to a citizen's complaint authority. If we suspect that law enforcement may or may not have done something wrong, cops, y'all gather evidence. Now, the citizen's complaint authority does the investigation. Cops, y'all don't get to decide if this was a good shoot. Y'all don't get to make that decision. When they do the press conference, when the chief come out, I should be able to come out with the chief. And then the chief be like, looking at the video, and I'll be like, yeah, but that video was unnecessarily hazy and blurry. I never saw the original video. So we don't really know what's going on the video. But go ahead, chief, my bad. Well, based on what I was told, he pointed something at the, but I didn't hear nobody tell her that. I mean, they got their little story together, but when I was there and they was gathering evidence, I didn't see no evidence of nobody who pointed nothing at nobody, and they said it, but that don't necessarily make it so. But go ahead, Chief. My bad. Go ahead. Maybe I shouldn't be able to interrupt her. Maybe she should be able to say what she say. And then they be like, and now the citizen in charge of the investigation is going to come up and speak. And then I'm going to be like, I get that the chief feel like her officer did what he had to do, but really we going to wait till the evidence show that I was there as they were processing the scene, and somebody actually tried to drop some blood in the wrong spot, and that's not good. We can't have that. So I appreciate that the chief is gonna stand up for her people, but I'm here to stand up for right. And we don't know. So as we investigate, we're gonna look at everything. We're gonna interview police and witnesses and all that kind of stuff. We're gonna get it all together. And then we'll let you know. We're gonna be transparent. Mike Johnson was the shooter. Him. Yeah, Mike. Here's a picture of Mike. And Mike been accused of whooping ass for a while. You know what I'm saying? Mike got complaints on him. Mike whooped Keisha's ass 2 years ago. So we're going to look at it. We're going to look at it. We're going to see what's really going on. And then we do the investigation. So then we go to the prosecutor and we say, this is what we found out. These are the charges that we think should be presented. Here is all the evidence. And then we hold another press conference. Yeah, now we talk to the prosecutor. We can't tell the prosecutor what to do, but we recommended charges because it looked like Mike Johnson did some bad stuff. Remember, he whooped Keisha's ass a long time. We think he did the same thing here. Miss Prosecutor, come on up. That's the way I think it should go now. Something like that. Something like that. I shouldn't be interrupting the chief. But I should be able to speak right afterwards. Versus say that would be my first and last press conference. I would just tell the facts as we know. So no, I don't believe police should investigate police. I saw, who was it that said the officer's not going to get indicted because of what the father did? No, I don't think the officer was going to get indicted anyway, because I truly do believe that they doctored that video to the point that you couldn't see anything. So once you get to that point, now you have to take the word of the officers. He was pointing a gun at me. We don't see that on the video. Well, you can't see nothing on the video because it's blurry. I was running and that made it blurry. So since you can't see nothing, you got to take my word for it. That kind of defeats the purpose of the video. I wonder how Elliott, the ex-chief of police, would have handled this Hinton shooting. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. The whole thing is messed up for real. The whole thing is messed up for real. I don't want to see nobody get killed. I don't want to see nobody get killed. Especially not over no BS. Like some of this stuff, and really, I blame the lack of transparency from law enforcement just over the years on, was the car stolen or was the car not stolen? Something like that should be really simple. Did they steal a car? Was it a car that some payments were missed? Because I keep hearing this. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. Well, was it a car that some payments were missed and then the finance company reported it stolen because they didn't get payments? I think that's a heck of a distinction to make. And if you hear these rumors going on, like, oh no, it wasn't a stolen car, it was actually a car that some payments was missed, and so, they wanted to repo it or whatever, and so the finance company reported it stolen. You could come out and be like, I know that people are saying the car wasn't stolen, but the car was stolen. The car was reported stolen by a citizen. It was a private citizen's vehicle that was stolen. Now, a finance company didn't report it stolen or any of that kind of stuff. This is the truth. But as I sit here, I can't necessarily trust the word of law enforcement. But again, for me, just when you say, I want to be transparent. Okay, what was the name of the shooter? Well, I'm not going to tell you that. Thought you wanted to be transparent. So you don't want to be transparent. You just want to tell us what you want to tell us. I don't know. I don't know these details. And the kind of the shame of it is, I should know these details. Why should you know these details? Because they said they want to be transparent. James says they can't report the car stolen. Says who? Anybody can do whatever they want to do. They may have violated some policy or law to do it, but they can definitely do it. Heck, my car's in the driveway. I can report it stolen right now. Daryl says, I read a post from someone who knew the guys. They said the boys fell asleep in the car because one of the teens got into an argument with someone who lived in that apartment, and they wouldn't let him in, so they slept in the car, and someone called the cops on the young men. Justin says the defense lawyer says she lied about the bullet entry and exit. Yeah, that's that. When I heard him on 700, I didn't get a chance to hear the whole thing, which is why I can't necessarily go into what he said. But I heard enough of it to say he was not agreeing with the coroner. James says you're the owner, right? But the point that I was making is that I could call in and report my neighbor's car, which is sitting in his driveway, stolen. Of course, the point that I'm making is that it's illegal for me to do that. The car's clearly not stolen. It's in his driveway. So it's illegal for me to do that, but I can still do it. I might get in trouble after the fact, but I can still do it. So a finance company could theoretically report a car stolen. They might get in trouble for it, but if somebody's dead at that point, who caring about them getting in trouble? Again, I'm not saying that they did. I'm just saying these are stories that are floating around that I wish I had faith in law enforcement to trust that when they say they're being transparent, they're actually being honest and transparent. But I don't. I don't have that kind of trust in them. Look, I get it. Some people hear what the police say And that is what it is. I heard the police said that it was a stolen car. So it was a stolen car. The police said it's a stolen car, so it might have been a stolen car. Well, the police said, they said he pointed a gun at him. If somebody points a gun at you, you gotta shoot him. The police said he pointed a gun at him. I didn't see no gun pointed at nobody. Heck, I didn't even see a gun. It was so blurry. But the police said it, so it's true. The coroner said, Gordon said he got shot in so that's where he got shot. Well, I don't know about that, because the law firm is saying that they might have some different information. Just because they said it don't mean I believe it. Now, if they just had a history of being transparent and always telling the truth, even when they were wrong, then I might be like, hey, if the coroner said that that's where he got shot, that's probably where he got shot, because the coroner, if you look at all the coroner always be telling the truth. Always. We ain't never had an incident where the coroner covered for the police in any way, shape, or form. You know, you're right. We ain't never, so that the coroner's probably right. But that's not the case. And again, because I like to be clear, because people be, you anti-cop. I'm not anti-cop. I am anti-bad cop, but I'm not anti-cop. The cop might have saw what he believed to be a gun. It's possible. And he, did what he did because he thought his life was in danger. That's all 100% possible. I just can't take their word for it. I just can't. I got to get out of here in about 30 minutes. 513-717-KING, 513-717-5464. I'm trying to move out the way so y'all can see the number. The lines are now open. I was watching yesterday, and I had to go back and watch. Hopefully later on today I'll get an opportunity. I had to go and watch the entire, I'm going to call it press conference, the sit down with the South African president and Trump. I'll talk about that in a second. CK.
Hey, how you doing, Mr. Livingston?
CK, I'm doing good. How are you?
Hey, man, it's a good show, man. I'm glad you read my when I said Sylvester Stallone has improved as an actor and not Ice-T has not. I'm glad you read that.
Hey, they should have helped you check in.
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, I said I'm glad you right. But look, did you watch the Diddy trial this morning?
No. You didn't either. You didn't watch it this morning either.
What happened?
But I don't know.
No,
I haven't seen the update, but there's no cameras in the trial, so I know for a fact you didn't watch it.
No, I'm talking about the update you're talking about.
Oh, okay.
Man, I solved the whole case, bro. I solved the whole case. I got it now.
All right.
This what happened, homie.
All right.
Okay. She had to make a move before he destroyed her and got rid of her. She was a vicious threat. He couldn't kill her so quick because Kim was murdered, and then he had to wait. So he waited so long that in fear of her life, she went through with the civil lawsuit and get him out the way. See, her life was in serious danger, Mr. Livingston, because you got to think, anybody that's a threat to Diddy, he gets rid of. You see what I mean? Kim, threat to Diddy. Pac, threat to Diddy. Cassie, that's the last one. He tried to get rid of Al B. Sure. Now, Al B. Sure has testimony. This is an eyewitness testimony, sir. He's speaking on Kim Porter's behalf because she's not here no more. And he said he talked to her shortly before her death. Listen. So,
okay. Now, hold on. Let me just say this. Say this. The little baby went upstairs, so the little baby is not in the room. Otherwise, I would have stopped this conversation. But, yeah, she's not in the room. And let me say,
we were still keeping it professional anyway. We didn't say anything that she could decipher. Nothing.
You are.
We kept it PG.
You did. But let me say this. I don't know that you've solved anything because she's not on trial. And he's not on trial like for beating her. He's not on trial. He's on the charges. The beating plays into it. Which again, the defense, their defense is an interesting defense. Like, okay, yeah, he beat her. Like, so as relationships go, sometimes people get beat and people blow cars up. It is what it is. That's an interesting defense in terms of the case. But I think only a few people, I was about to say only a few people. I think people are getting confused. This is not a rape trial. Like, people are acting like this is a rape trial. Like, did he rape her? Did he not rape her? There are elements that the prosecution has to prove. So why she sued him and did she get away and all of that kind of stuff, I'm sure it's a factor in it. But you I solved it. Like, no, you didn't solve it.
Now, Livingston, there's one element you can't run from, and it's going to hit you like egg yolk in the face.
I don't know that I'm trying to run from anything.
Yeah, you're going to try to run because you have an agenda. And the agenda is to tear down the black man that has created themselves in wealth and health.
That's my agenda?
I've seen you do it time and time again with innocent victims.
Okay.
Kobe, your thing is, if you admit it, you did it. Livingston, his theme is, if you admit it, you did it.
That's, for the most part, that's a pretty good thing to go on.
But what Livingston doesn't realize, that is his mind and his only. He can't put his insecurities on other people.
All right, come on, hit me with this thing. Hit me with this thing that's going to make me run.
Oh, yes. Okay, after being beaten and sodomized, peed on, and then you find your love of your life, your husband. You get with him, you say, you take vows. And then you go right back to the monster after you're married? Let me hear your excuse. You cheated on your husband with your abuse.
What would I be excusing?
Right. This shows evidence of flammery.
Okay. Let's assume, just for the sake of this conversation, and hopefully a little bit of brevity, let's assume you right, 100%. It proves.
Okay.
It proves what?
Okay. I'm the pimp. She's my wife. And you, the billionaire, is destroyed, and I have all your money. I won.
Hold on,
you have to understand pimping,
hold
sir.
on, wait. You were saying that it proves something. What did, in your mind, what do you think that piece of whatever proved?
This proves that Okay, everybody are willing participants. What? So what happened when they found out when she got jealous about
Hold on, wait.
with Miami?
Hold on, before you go any further, she,
Okay.
being Miss Ventura, is
Okay.
I'm gonna say victim number one. She's not the only one who's a victim, alleged victim in this case. So even if you prove she wanted everything, like she never said no, she wanted to get beat all those times. You know what I'm saying? She wanted to get drugged through the hotel, all that kind of stuff. Prove she asked for all of it. That still doesn't prove that he's not guilty of what he's accused of, because she's just one of the victims.
Yes, you prove by one that all of them are lying. What you know, if one lied, all of them could be lying. That's how you prove.
No, that is 100%, and I'm not a lawyer. That is 100% not a legally sound theory.
You're proving flimflammery.
No, you're not. Let me ask you this. All right, I'm accused of being a serial killer. Right? We got 5 bodies. Right?
Right.
They say I killed all 5 of them. You think that if you prove that I didn't kill one of them, that proves that I didn't kill the other 4?
No, it doesn't. But it could prove it could prove an agenda of trying to set you up. So that could prove like, oh, well, if they set him up on this, they set him up on all of them.
No,
you see what I mean?
It wouldn't prove that. It might suggest that is the case, but then they could prove that I killed number 2, number 3, number 4, and number 5. So you think because proving that I didn't do number 1 does not get me off?
Okay, I'll give you that. But what is your first thoughts when they show my face and then they show me on the news and I've been caught with 10 bricks? What is your assumption? Do you believe guilt? Do you assume I'm guilty? When you see me on the news and they found 10 bricks in my house, what is your assumption?
My assumption is that they accused you of having 10 bricks.
And I think when you are Diddy or Cosby, when you are accused, you have so many people praying for your downfall. The presumption is the assumption.
Okay.
I think that you want, because like you said, we don't care about Vince McMahon sexually assaulting women because we don't care about women being sexually assaulted. Remember you told me, I don't talk about Vince McMahon because he's not black. No, you don't talk about Vince McMahon
I never
because you don't
told
care
you that.
about women being
I
sexually
never
assaulted.
told you that. I never told you that. No, I didn't.
You said it last
No.
and you do be lying and you just say the shit like you don't be lying.
I'm telling you, I did not say that.
I'm telling you what you said. I'll ask you why you said it. So you tell me right now why you ain't covering it. Why you talking about this black man, but you ain't talking about Vince McMahon. He accused of the same shit. Are you Uncle Tom? Explain.
First, he's not accused of the same thing.
Yes, he is. That's a damn lie. That's another lie you told. We gonna count your lies.
So wait. So Vince McMahon is accused of trafficking and racketeering. They're trying him for RICO.
Assaulting women.
Hold on. They're trying him he has a RICO trial about to happen?
No, I'm saying.
Then he's not accused of the same thing.
He defecated on the woman. He defecated
That
on
is
her.
not RICO. Does he have RICO charges?
That's what I'm saying.
I'm asking a simple question. Simple question. Does he have RICO charges?
No, he does not.
Then it's not the same charges. What are you talking about?
But the only reason he's not, but I'm trying to tell you, the only reason he doesn't have the same charges because they don't have the same skin. If he was an African American, he would have the same charges as Diddy. RICO charges.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. You're protecting these people.
Okay.
You need to take responsibility, Sean.
I'm right.
You've been doing it for too long.
Hold on.
And this is the second time you did it.
For you, CK, I take responsibility for what Bill Cosby did. It was my fault. I take responsibility for what Kobe Bryant did. That was 100% my fault. I take responsibility for what R. Kelly did. That was my fault. I take responsibility for what Smokey Robinson may or may not have done. My fault. I take responsibility for what Diddy did. It's my fault. And I take responsibility for what Vince McMahon did. I take responsibility for what Harvey Weinstein or whatever his name is did. I'll take responsibility for all of that if that makes you feel better. You feel better now?
That's how you're supposed to do it, because
All right.
you have to. You got to remember. I told you on the comment section, I wanted to be with 12 women on Black History Month. I failed. We don't just take what we can't have. Stop acting like just because I'm black, I just got to, I can control myself. Stop doing that, sir. You're acting like because we get rich and wealthy, we don't know how to control our hormones. And this is you putting this in the media.
I don't even know what the conversation is now.
You just said all those people, Kobe Bryant. So you're saying that they get rich and wealthy and they can't control themselves. They just have to take it.
I'm responsible for it. That's what I just said.
Responsible for what if they're innocent, sir?
I'm responsible for whatever, for them being charged, for any actions that they took, for any convictions, for all of it. I'm responsible. All right.
Yeah. Because you got to remember that was hard on Bill Cosby. He was an older guy in the penitentiary, so that's hard on him.
You're right. It was my fault. It was my fault. All right. So now that I took responsibility, are we happy?
Man, I couldn't be more. Hey, I'm free. This is what I'm talking about. Now you get into this is how you stop the virus. You have to take accountability.
Yes.
And what you did was take accountability for your actions, your conduct, for putting your own people down for years. Thank you, sir.
All right.
Appreciate you.
All right. Okay. I don't even know what conversation I just had. Like, I don't know what conversation I just had. Like, the last portion, I don't know what happened. But I wanted to just kind of get him off the phone. Just because. Let me see. Yeah, that would be an odd goal to set. All right. Y'all, I gotta get out of here. I know it's been a short week, and this is technically a short show, but I gotta get out of here because I have to go over to the church and do some other stuff. Hold on, let me. B-Rab?
E-Man, what's going on? How you doing today?
B-Rab, I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing fine. I was just calling, bro. I just tuned in, man. What's the topic about? What's going on?
Nothing. There's nothing.
Okay. Did you see? Tell me, what was your take on the South African president and Donald Trump meeting?
I think he handled himself relatively well, or probably really well. Like, there's a part of me that wants to be like, man, these dudes should jump up and slap fire out of Donald Trump. Of course, they can't do that. You know what I'm saying? I want them to say, that's a damn lie. Stop lying, fool. Of course, they can't do that. Diplomacy and all of that kind of stuff. I thought he handled himself, given his situation, very well. And I think he really kind of threw Trump off. And I think he did a good job.
Yeah, I think he did a masterful breakdown because Trump is a child, man. That guy is an infant baby, man. His reactions was infantile. The way he tried to explain to him about his country, he asked a question to Trump about the crosses, and Trump was like, "Yes, there's all them killing all them white farmers. You see that?" And he asked Trump, he was like, "Where is that at, Trump?" Trump just shook his head and stuck his lip out. Like, man, Trump is, man, I can't, man. He is he's probably the worst president in my lifetime ever. Like, That's just horrible, man.
I agree.
So yeah, I agree. I agree with everything you just said, man. That was crazy. And then on top of that, we have our fractions in our country that has free speech. So can you imagine a South African president playing a group of KKK members, right, telling Trump this is a representation of your whole country, like how Trump tried to do to him? Like it's stupid, man. This administration is so frustrating, man. I swear, and it haven't even been a year yet.
No,
Crazy.
it hasn't been a year yet. And I didn't get into that bill that passed the House, which will change a little bit in the Senate. But yeah, they're cutting taxes, which is the weirdest thing. Like, we gonna cut taxes, spend more, and cut Medicare and SNAP and, other things. It's this weirdness going on. And somebody said, and I of course, I haven't read the bill, but I was listening, I believe, to Sharpton on the way to pick up the little baby. And they said that there's a piece in that bill that says that the courts can't find him in contempt if he disobeys the courts. And
what?
Yeah,
So
there was a so-called expert on with Sharpton, and she was trying to explain it and what she was saying. And again, go and look into it for yourself. But apparently there's something in the bill that says that if you get money from the federal government, in particular the courts, people who get money from the federal government are not allowed to find Donald Trump in contempt if he does not obey their orders or injunctions or something like that. And that they've put this into this bill to hopefully be signed into law, which of course would then be challenged as unconstitutional. But with the Supreme Court, we don't know. He really is trying to create a situation where he's a king. Like, if the courts if you are creating a law that says, and again, this is what was said. A caller called in and said it, and then Al Sharpton was asking about it to his guest, who, I don't remember who she was exactly, but she said, yes, that is something that is hidden in this bill. They want us caught up on Medicaid and Medicare and no tax on tips and no tax on overtime and all of that other stuff. But this is something that they've slipped in here that they want everybody to be aware of.
Yeah. Wow. He's really, it's really like a soft fascist dictatorship going on in America right now. And the low IQ people who like Donald Trump doesn't see it because they're so stupid to really see what's going on, and they're being played. And it's shameful that a lot of people is kowtowing to it. Even CNN is barely calling him out on his bull crap. So what can the Senate and the Congress do to rile this situation in, or do you think they want it like that?
Well, I mean, as it stands right now, the Republicans have the majority, so it seems like the overwhelming majority of them want it like that. So what would have to happen is people would have to get out and vote in these midterm elections, and I don't know if we can turn it around, because again, I don't know how much the Democrats are willing to fight this. It's a horrible situation that when they were running for office and people like me kept saying, this is very important because this guy wants to come in and he wants to dismantle our democracy, and everybody was saying, not everybody, but a lot of people were saying, oh, that's hypothetical, and oh, you're exaggerating, and oh, you don't know if this is gonna happen, and you don't know about that. He not even taking his time with it, and some of the stuff he's being quite blatant with.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I don't understand like how can people, like I just said, man, look at what he's doing and agree with even 10% of what he's doing. I honestly can't agree with anything he's doing at this moment, running the country to, raising our taxes up, to really cutting out the middle class. And he's going to just make the half, literally, he wants to make the have and have nots just and spit in the people's face who put him in office. And it's really crazy.
And B-Rap, one of the things that they're trying to do is they're do a really good job of distracting people. Look, as far as I'm concerned, Joe Biden ain't in office no more. If people knew that there was some level of diminishment with him, yeah, they should have told us. But that's the past. Yeah, they're bringing this stuff up now because, again, I listen to conservative talk, and believe it or not, the today on conservative talk radio, I only heard one person who kind of calls himself riding the fence. Only one person brought up this bill. Everybody else that I heard on conservative talk radio all day, all they talked about was, the cover up with Biden. And I'm like, y'all ain't talking about this big, beautiful bill. Y'all not talking about what happened, in the White House with the president of South Africa. All y'all got to talk about right now is the cover up with Joe Biden. Like, he's out of office now. I'm not even saying don't talk about it, but I heard no conversation about this bill, and really none about what's in the bill. So yeah, I want people to pay attention and don't let them distract you with talk about Biden got cancer, but they knew it a long time ago, and they knew that he wasn't there cognitively, and they hid it from us and all that kind of stuff. Don't let them distract you. Please pay attention to what Donald Trump is doing right now.
You know what? And it worked. Project 2025 is really in effect. It's really like we have to do something about it and get this guy out of office to the point to where in 2 years, man, I'm going to call into your radio station, and in 2 years, if he's still in office and we are talking about Trump the way we are talking about Trump, they might cut your news feed. They might just cut you straight off. Anybody who has any type of disagreement with Donald Trump on public radio waves will get cut off. And it's going to probably come to that point. Like, and it's scary, man. It really is, man. I can't even lie. I'm not trying to fearmonger anybody, but I don't like it. I don't like it. Man, I got one more thing to pick your brain on, man.
All right.
What do you think about people saying black fatigue?
I don't look. People haven't been using that term, maybe, but they've been saying the same thing for ever.
Do you think that us as a community hold our own people accountable for the bad that they do in the community, or do you think we protect the criminals and the bad guys in our community? Do you think we condone that type of behavior?
Well, now when you say we, I would say there are some people who do, and there are some people who don't, just like in every community. I don't think that we're any worse than any other community
I agree.
In terms of, sure, there's going to be some people who make excuses for bad behavior. Sure, there are going to be some people that, all of that stuff. I don't accept that we, as a whole, do that. So I guess that would be the answer to your question.
And I looked at the FBI statistics, and when it comes to every other crime, white people are leading in that crime. So it just amazes me to how they think that we're like, you're only 13% of the population, but commit 60% of the crime. No, that's just idiotic. Right? That's just idiotic. Okay, and before I go, E-Man, and now it's time for the wrestling report. Now, can't you see that last week Stone Cold Steve Austin and John Cena turned around and he got kicked in the snozzles? It'll like Brenda say something like, if somebody got kicked in the balls, he'll say snozzles or sausages. John Cena got kicked in the sausages. Now, I'm just playing, E-Man. Hey, E-Man, I appreciate it, man. Shout out to you, Brent. And everybody, y'all have a great day. I appreciate it, E-Man.
B-Rap, I appreciate you.
Thanks, man.
All right. That was B-Rap. Yeah, I got to get out of here. I appreciate y'all hanging out with me. Got to run over here to this church. You got your shoes on, so we good. Got to run over here to this church and, got to work for God.
Are we doing church?
No. I have to do some work at the church. Just like last time.
That took a long time.
Well, this won't take as long as it took last time. So I have to go work for God. So don't be trying to shame me for leaving early, because it is for God. I appreciate y'all hanging out with me. Oh, I got to get down here and clean. Let me tell you, I had an ordeal on Saturday, and my little studio is just a horrible mess because of it. From now on, as a general rule, I would be following the manufacturer's instructions on things, and hopefully I don't spend. I think I spent. What time did I come down here? 7 hours down here, basically fixing my printer to do a print job that should have taken me, in all honesty, to print out what I needed to print out would have taken maybe 2 minutes tops. It took me 7 hours to get the printer back in working order because I did not follow the directions. Follow the manufacturer's directions if you can, okay? And I still got ink on my fingers and everything. Yeah, Jason, on this one, I was hard-headed. Not really. Hold on, I gotta get out of here. I wasn't really hard-headed. When I rearranged everything, I did something that I needed to do. I just didn't follow through. If I would have just followed through and finished up the job with the printer back when I did my rearrangement, 3 minutes. But I ain't got nobody to blame but myself. And the little baby. So, yes, I blame you, little baby.
Yeah, what did I do?
It don't matter. You did something. And my printer wasn't working right.
No, I did not.
Don't do it again.
I didn't do nothing.
Twin said, so you didn't take a shower. Of course I took a shower.
No, you didn't.
But that don't mean that you don't still have ink on that. It's ink. That don't even make sense. Why don't you ask Twin to go to church with you? I'm not going to church for church's sake. I'm going to church because I have to do some technical work at the church. I have to swap out a mixing console. It's not that big of a deal, but it needs to be done, and thus I need to go do it. And that's that. I appreciate y'all hanging out with me. I do intend on being here tomorrow. Hopefully nothing else comes up. And yeah, let me apologize. Tuesday and Wednesday. Yeah, I missed Tuesday and Wednesday because today is Thursday. Wednesday, I had an unexpected. I had every intention on being here yesterday. I even put up there, I knew I was going to be late because I got unexpectedly called to a meeting. So I knew I was going to be late. I just didn't know the meeting would run so long and then I wouldn't get home until really late. So I apologize for that. And on Tuesday, I don't really have an excuse for Tuesday. Some stuff came up, but that's not important. It just didn't happen. So, but yeah, yesterday I wanted to come on so bad, but it didn't happen. Last thing, because I do got to get out of here. That daggone Tyrese Halliburton. That was an incredible finish to that game, and I think now I want to see Indy. I want to see Indianapolis and Oklahoma City in the finals. I think that's what I want to see now. So, but that's that. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all day. It's cold out there. I gotta have on a whole hoodie. In late May, a whole hoodie, just to go outside and be comfortable. I don't know what in the world is going on, but you try your best to stay warm or comfortable, whatever that look like to you. And as always, I want you to be the reason that somebody smiles today. Till next time, I'm out, y'all.